I'm your PUBG Sports Guide, Annie, and today I'm here with Toby.
Absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
Today we'll wrap up the PGS3, how it went on, and explain you guys how PGS4 will look like. So PGS4 will kick off on June 3rd until June 10th for 6 days, 3 days of group stage and 3 days of final stage, similar to PGS3. Then let's move on to the PGS3 recap. Our champion was Sivers Esports. Congratulations! This is very meaningful because it's the first APAC team ever to win the PUBG Esports Global event.
Yeah, it sure was. It was a hell of a performance, as we've seen all the way from start to finish. So many teams in the race. You had Cerberus fighting up against the likes of Twisted Minds and Sonics, and in the end, they came out victorious.
So Sivers Esports was originally strong in the group stage, but didn't keep up that performance till the end. But now, in the PGS3, they succeeded to do so and win the PGS3. There was a lot of impressive plays, especially Hima's 1v3 and 20 kills chicken dinner.
I mean, last year PGC was all Tiger. This time around it was the Himas show from start to finish. The way that Cerberus played this game, it was so obvious that it was very much built around enabling Himas to play the way that he did. So while, of course, all the highlight moments were Himas, were Tiger as well, do not forget about Hayasaki and Salalti too. They were there along the way, helping out, making sure that Himas was always on his feet, always in the best position possible to get as many points as possible for the team, as we saw in the tournament.
So I think this team now knows how to play as a team.
Oh yeah.
So we're expecting their performance in the PGS4 too.
Oh yeah, big time. I would be very surprised if they don't come out, maybe not winning necessarily, but very much within the top 5 once again.
Sonics was the previous PGS2 champion, but with the kickstart moving into the team, they didn't show a very impressive performance in the global stage. So I thought they might need more time, but they showed us.
They definitely did. Coming out of PAS, I think a lot of people had maybe some doubts on how they were going to be able to perform here in the global tournament. But no, I mean, as you're saying, finishing top 4 in the group stage and getting a second place in the grand finals as well definitely impressed everyone and just reminded us exactly of what the Sonics are capable of.
This time, it was not Tickleton who showed off, but we found Strimzy.
Strimzy definitely had a lot of highlight moments. Instantly, our minds go back to the Miramar finish, a game where you think a lot of teams would die out with a lot, not really a lot of points, but he survived up on the Monte Nuevo hill for the longest time, able to get a lot of points for the team, a lot of extra placement points as well, and able to just solidify what ended up being a really good game.
So maybe Sonics can step up in the PGS4, let's see. And next was Twisted Minds. This team was consistent throughout the whole event, but then like in day 2 and day 3 of final stage, I don't know what happened.
It's as if the globals for Twisted Minds have become the opposite of the regionals. In regionals, they don't get off to a good start in the grand finals, and then right at the end, they come up and win. In the globals, it's the other way around. They come flying off in the grand finals, and then at the very last day, it falls apart. It is the 4th tournament now globally where they have been in first place coming into the final day and not been able to bring it home.
Yeah, I thought I really saw the potential here in PGS3 because they were always at the top and they know how to survive. Let's see if Twisted Minds can finally break this jinx in PGS4. I hope they do.
One could hope.
Let's move on to the teams that had showed us the unexpected performance in PGS3.
Yep, the first teams that comes to mind would definitely be both eArena and Na'Vi. Both teams playing phenomenally and playing similar play styles, which are usually not something you see from teams with lack of LAN experience. Na'Vi came in from day 1 and just instantly spread out. They took full control on the map, again playing very confident PUBG. Normally, when you have teams that have never played on LAN before, they'll be quiet, they'll maybe be a little nervous, don't really dare to do a whole lot. But this Na'Vi roster, they came in, knew what they wanted to do from day number 1, and they just delivered from start to finish. Very impressive performance by them.
Yeah, I'm sure that not many global fans would expect Na'Vi to play so well in the first global event.
Definitely.
Maybe fans would expect more from the next upcoming event. And as you mentioned, eArena was also the team that showed us an expected performance, especially when it comes to Thailand teams. We expected more from Daytrade Gaming, but other Thailand teams have really showed us impressive plays.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, eArena kind of brought in the Therodon 5 playbook of using a lot of emergency pickups, trying to get center positions, and then when it came to fighting, I think a lot of people, a lot of viewers don't consider the likes of eArena a very dangerous opponent, but Lyrics and Jacob, they showed phenomenal performance.
I think those two teams are the teams to watch for in the next event. And then, are there teams that didn't perform as expected in PGS3?
I think if we talk about the grand finals, our first name has to be FaZe Clan. They had a very hard time getting things going. They were struggling to keep all 4 players alive throughout the early game, and it really hindered them a lot. Every single time they came into fights in the mid game, they were already down to maybe 2 or 3 players. And when you're up against teams of this caliber on a global stage, even if you're good individually, if you don't have the numbers to your advantage, you're gonna be struggling.
We'll have to talk about our PGS1 champion, 17 Gaming. Lil Ghost was out and Show got in, and their performance was not as expected. Actually, they didn't play well in the PCL, but still, we thought they will do well in Global. But at the day 3 of final stage, Lil Ghost were in the roster, and I think they kind of show what 17 Gaming was used to be in the past.
Definitely. I think one of the issues that 17 faced when they removed Little Ghost initially, not to take anything away from Show because he's a phenomenal player, but Little Ghost and Show fill 2 very different roles. Show is a phenomenal fragger, really good individually mechanically at the game at taking out opponents. Little Ghost, while he's also good at that, is also exceptional, one of the best in the world at flexing out, getting info, scouting forward for his team. And when you then remove a player like Little Ghost from the roster to add 1 more shooter, it doesn't really matter that you have a lot of guys that are great at shooting if they don't have the guy to tell them where to shoot. But as soon as Little Ghost was back in the mix again, all of a sudden, as you said, here we see the former 17.
So next, there were 16 great teams in the final stage, but there were other teams that didn't make it to the finals, but maybe have a potential in the PGS4.
I think, in EMEA, we've been very blessed to see a Virtus Pro that played phenomenally when they played confidently. I think that was the main issue for VP coming into the global stage with a player like Nixie, who's a phenomenal fragger, but little to practically 0 LAN experience. It took some time to get the confidence going. It took some time to get the games going the way they wanted it to. When you don't get started early on, it gets too late. Finally, we see Virtus Pro get maybe 19 kills, the fastest any team has ever gotten 19 kills halfway through phase 4. But again, it's the final game, and if you don't have the other games before that to help you out, it's just not going to be enough.
Yeah, I hope the PGS3 was enough experience for them. And overall, Korean teams didn't show us explosive performances. Having that, our previous PGC champion was Korean team, but I was actually surprised with GNL.
I think everyone was. It's incredible what this young roster was able to do. The youngest team playing in this tournament, I believe the oldest player has just turned 22. They're very young, they still have many years ahead of them, and they played phenomenally. While they didn't go out and get first place, because that's not to be expected, they made it to grand finals, let alone that, I think surprised many people.
So we couldn't cover all teams, but if you want to get information of all 24 teams, you can check out the previous PUBG Esports news show. So today we covered some teams to watch for in the PGS4, which will kick off in June 3rd until June 10th, same here in Shanghai, China. So this is it for today's PUBG Esports news. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Please tune in till the end to find out which team will rise above them all. So all the information about PUBG Esports and upcoming PGS4 is in PUBGesports.com, and you can also check the information about PGS merchandise. Please check that out too.
Exactly, and make sure to watch the tournament in Multiview, where you can watch your teams, listen to their teams communicating live during the games, and watch them throughout the entire tournament from their POVs.
So make sure to tune in to PGS4, which will be happening in this stage in Shanghai. Bye-bye. See ya.